all, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble leader, Jordan Brown, and with me, as always, is our lively legend. Say hi, lively legend.
Hi, lively legend.
Rick, it's so funny. You were such an early interview for me. I wasn't doing the alliterative, descriptor of people yet. So, I went back in my notes because I was like, what did I use for Rick last time? Because I'll just use it again. And I realized, I didn't have one. Because you were the second interview I did, and I hadn't, committed to that part of the bit yet.
I'm honored and flattered to be a lively legend. So.
I mean, you are the legendary Rick Perry, so it's very exciting. You're still not the first Rick Perry when you Google, but I don't know that you can ever pass a former governor.
No, I get about lately I've been getting about 2 or 3 emails a week. Because I have an email address that's at gmail.com. It's very similar to what his email address might be. So CNN and Fox News reach out to me on a regular basis asking to do a segment, and I just don't reply. So.
You should go on. You should go on and be like, did you not mean me? An executive producer for Dimension 20 is not who you were looking to
I have thought about it.
It would be very... I wonder how far you could get into the process before someone realized it. I think you could make it to air based on how thorough they are. Anyway, I was doing a deep dive into some things today, and I came across your website, which appears to not have been updated in quite some time.
No.
But there's a very fun thing on there, which is 3D renderings of the dome that you have it seems like just built for Dimension 20. Is it I assume you haven't looked at them in quite a while, but is it wild just to think about what those designs were and what the dome is now?
Yeah, it is wild. I mean, that was almost 6.5, 7 years ago now at this point. And, I was recently working on the tables for Madison Square Garden in SketchUp, and this 3D software, and I had brought in a model of Madison Square Garden, with the seats, this massive model to be able to see the space and think about camera angles and stuff. And it was just a surreal moment where I was like, man, this is, very much the exact same thing I was doing when I was trying to figure out how to fit this stupid thing inside an office building, except now it's Madison Square Garden, but It's basically the same thing.
It's so funny. Yeah, a little bit different in terms of Madison Square Garden versus how tall can we make something and it not be a fire hazard. Because there were certainly fire hazards at Madison Square Garden. That was a lot of propane that you guys, or whatever, butane, excuse me, that you guys had set up. How involved were you in Madison Square Garden madness?
I was fairly involved. I was pretty busy this fall on other stuff for months and months, and then I think in November I started getting kind of more involved in the Madison Square Garden thing as it was kind of really coming together. But by then they had already figured out they were doing that pyro and the sparkles and stuff. There was a lot of really awesome people from that world of live shows, from Live Nation and from Four Wall, who's our kind of vendor for it, that really kind of knew what they were doing and were kind of a lot of them had been involved in the UK stuff, so they were kind of building on that. And so when I got there, they kind of had a lot of big pieces, but they still needed some stuff too. So it was a fun time to plug in and figure out how to add to it, to what they were doing, and also try to help kind of conform what we were all doing a little bit more into something, similar to our regular show, in as far as format and camera angles and all this sort of stuff. So
yeah. It was super cool. I mean, it was an amazing show. I ran into you first in an elevator and was so excited. I hugged you and Carlos.
Yeah.
But it was because I had a press ticket, and I knew I wasn't going to get to go up and interview Brennan 5 minutes before. I knew like the New York Times is coming in to do that. I know, but security still let me hang out inside, waiting and to go in, because I think it was also the ADA entrance. And they're like, we'll scan tickets here. You can just stay here. And I was like, incredible, because it's 20 degrees outside.
Yeah.
I would very much like to stand inside. And so it also was where like you and Carlos were headed up to the floor. It also worked out incredibly well for me because I stepped off the elevator and I was third in line for merch. And then I don't know if you ever saw what happened, but the merch line wrapped around all of Madison Square Garden because everyone wanted it.
I didn't get to see it all, and in fact, Carlos and I were down where we weren't supposed to be because we were just sort of like, "Do you want to go? Do you want to go see the line? Let's go see the line." And we were like, where do we go?" Because we've been working all day, like in the behind, the stage down there, and so we just took off, and somehow we found our way up there, and that place is like a real big maze or dungeon, and then, yeah, we were seeing the lines, just in the lobby there, and you could see, it went to past the edge of my ability to see further, but I heard it was wrapped around.
Yeah. No, like there were people didn't make it in time to start the show, to like to see the beginning of the show, because the like lines were so long to get in. While I was standing at security, they commented that it was crazier than a Fish concert, which feels wild. Like
that's a hell of a compliment.
Like they were like, these nerds, holy cow! Like it was just like them talking about, because they were watching on like the security cameras, and like the lines go all the way around the building, and it's like, yeah, people are serious about this. It was such a fun show. Obviously, you had an iconic moment where you got to bring out a giant D20. In the greatest hat that's ever existed, not the one you're currently wearing. Where did the orange hat come from?
Well, at some point, I think they had already knew that they wanted a big D20, so we were like, okay, we got to get this big D20 made, and we tapped Casey McGeorge, who was art directed a bunch of seasons and also designed 20-sided tavern.
Yeah, that was going to be my guess if I had to guess who built the big D20.
And made that D20 and just really knew how to do it. So they made it, and Jesse Heron helped paint it stuff. And then as we were talking about that, we were like, oh, well, this should be a reveal, because we, figuring out kind of the language of the show or that economy, is like, this is going to come out at a big moment. So we don't want it to be out on the stage, which means it has to get out on stage somehow, has to be revealed somehow. And we were like, oh, somebody can bring it out. And then I think Shawbach was like, oh, Rick Perry has to bring it out. And then I was like, I mean, I would do it. Yeah, that sounds wild. And
I'll come out to cheer a cheering crowd at Madison Square Garden. Doesn't seem that bad.
I didn't know that was going to be like that, but I knew it was going to be something fun. And then Brendan was like, well, yeah, you should totally do it, and you need to wear an orange hat, And I was like, okay, yes, sir, I'll get an orange hat. So we did.
Was that an off the shelf like hat, or it was somebody?
It's from Amazon. I spent a minute trying to figure out what, I looked at some like cowboy hats, orange cowboy hats and stuff, and that was kind of like a decent one that wasn't like super cheapo one, but that would get there fast.
Yes. It was such a great moment. I also I clocked it as you were coming out, because I was front row, which was very fun and wild. And like I was sort of catty corner from where you came out. And so I saw it, and there was a moment where I was like, oh, everyone is so intently focused. All the Intrepid heroes are so intently focused on this giant D20. I don't know if they're going to notice Rick's hat. And they did. But there was definitely a moment where I was like, I think they're going to miss the hat, which was very funny.
I mean, I guess I need a bigger hat,
Yes.
It was funny because, like, with the cast, we had rehearsed the D20 before, we had to let them know how it would feel to throw it and kind of where to throw it and stuff. And, but they hadn't seen the hat. So I was waiting to see their reaction, and I think at least Lou made a comment about that's a really nice hat or something like that.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
It was worth it.
I'm so excited to see the final product, because obviously, like, being there was amazing. Like I said, like especially like there was so much pyro, and being in the front of it. I mean, it was hot. I think everywhere. In like people that I talked to were like, I was in the nosebleeds, and it still was very warm when the pyro went off. I was like, yeah, you should have seen the security guard the first time the pyro went off unexpectedly, because obviously like, they expected it at the beginning, but there's a time in the show where you're kind of not ready for it, and he like jumps because his back is to one of those,
Yeah.
and like all of a sudden just like heat. And but I'm so excited to see the final product, because I
Yeah.
mean there were I mean I counted at least 9 cameras that were recording. um
Yeah, I think it was more. I'm forgetting now, but I believe it was over 10. It was like 11 or 12 cameras, which is even more than, of course, than we normally have on a show. And our director, the camera director was Sandra Restrepo, who's amazing and does like the Oscars, and like she's like a huge live to tape kind of director, and her team were awesome. But it looked, everything I saw back there. I mean, you guys got to see it in the jumbotron stuff, but we were looking at it backstage, and it just all looked so good. And it's also like we had that steady cam shot that came in to pick up the Box of Doom and the other stuff, and I just thought that was so cool, because like our show generally is like very static as far as camera positions and stuff. Like sometimes they tilt and pan, but generally everybody's sitting down, so to bring in that like dynamic movement was very cool, and I think something we'll hopefully do again.
Yeah. There's the Steadicam walk right in front of me to like go up to the stage, which was very cool. The other side of it, like across from me, had like the big jib that was like craning around. Like it was really cool to just see the. Like I said, I'm excited to see a final product, because obviously I got to experience it live, but I had a very specific vantage point, which was couldn't see most of their faces, which is fine, because it was about the experience. But yeah, it was intense. That was so much fun. I mean, it was also super fun, like, and like probably not super surprising, but obviously like people lost their mind when you came out. But like the like VIP box, that had like Sam and Abria and Izzy and a bunch of other dropout folks, like did like wave to the crowd at the end of the show. I don't know if you were out there still for that, but like people lost their minds just seeing like Sam waving to the crowd, and it's just like, yeah, that's who this group, more committed than Fish fans. They see someone they know, they're going to cheer for it.
Yeah, teeny tiny. Yeah, I saw that stuff on social media. It was awesome to see. I didn't even clock that. I knew they were up there, but I didn't clock it during the show. But yeah, it seems like that was it kind of blew me away. Like how people are, I don't know, just in general, it's hard to comprehend, like that amount of people coming together in one place and time to share this kind of thing that didn't exist 6.5 years ago or whatever. Like it's sort of mind blowing and powerful. It was, being down there when I got to bring the die out, and it was like being on the moon. It was so loud, and I mean, thank goodness I had a job to do, or I wasn't like passed out. But I couldn't hear anything either. Bert and them were talking, and I was like, because they have in-ear things, and I just couldn't hear. It was so loud. But I heard people yelling my name, and thank you, Rick Perry, or we love you, Rick, or whatever. It was like just so moving and just unreal, kind of, that part of it. But
yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that, I mean, we've talked about it before. Obviously, like one of the things that I love about Dimension 20 is the amount of credit that they give, very much deservedly so, but credit to crew, where it's not even just like, it's not just you. Like Brennan has a list, and he's going to read every name on that list. Or like the Titan Takedown the trailer came out today, and in the FAQ, I think, yes, in the FAQ, it was like, here's the full credit list for the season, and like people, not just me, clicked on it to see like who did what in the season, and I was like, that's so wild to me, because like I did it because I gonna look at that list to be like, who should I be interviewing after this season, but some people are just like, I want to know who did what on the season, and like the fans really care about that stuff, and I think it's because D20 like drives that point to make sure that like credit is given where credit is due, and so
totally.
yeah.
I think that comes from the cast. Honestly, speaking of credit where credit is due, is like, I mean, Dropout certainly is a great production company, and I think they do a lot of incredible things. But specifically in our show, I know like just the cast cares about who made the thing, and they from the beginning have been like, oh, you Rick, you son of a gun, whatever, like, or Jesse, whatever. Like it's like they appreciate it in a personal way, and I don't know. That's just the um, kind of organic and live and joyous like situation that the show's made in, so but it is a real special thing, and it's not something that happens a lot in TV and film or digital media. So I know all of my team is really grateful for it, and now we have the list that we do kind of formally, so we don't forget anybody. And um, I think it's one of the things that keeps people coming back to work on the show and to want to be involved in this like fun thing that we're doing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, where else? I mean, look, not a lot of shows have like talkbacks, but like, where else would you have a talkback that's called Three Cheers for Jesse Heron? Like, you're just not gonna see that anywhere else. Oh, what a delight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm sorry. So I mentioned Titan Takedown. I know I sent you some questions in advance. They were real. I don't. Questions may be too general a term. I sent you some topic areas. I was like, if to help you have names in case you needed them. But I didn't send you anything about Titan Takedown, so I won't ask you any specifics. Other than
you can ask specific, that's fine. Yeah, but I can't say so much because it hasn't come out.
It hasn't come out yet. But
yeah.
I'm curious about turnaround time for Titan Takedown, because it feels like it was filmed not that long ago, so like post feels like it was very quick, but also from what I have heard, there was a very short window of production for this.
Scheduling is always so tricky with both with a full or a longer form season, because we can only make so many episodes a week before it is too taxing for our DMs. Like they just they need writing time. You can't just shoot 2 episodes every day for 5 days in a row. It's just too much. So then you want to space it out some, but if you're spacing it out, then you actually have to make room for people to do their other work, right? Because we're not going to book people for a full week and only shoot them one day, So anyway, what that means is the schedules get really complicated and spread out. And then when you have like kind of a, I don't know, kind of like a sort of stunty season, like a drag season or a WWE season, then those folks are busy and they're super busy and they're in their own, world. And that's even further complications. So yes, we did this in a very tight window. We were shooting another season and we stopped doing that and shot this season and then went right back and finished shooting the other season.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's kind of a turducken of a season, if you will.
That's amazing. And I just I don't understand how Brennan's brain works. I don't know if he was the DM for the other season, but I know Intrepid Heroes filmed pretty recently, because we do know they're going to be the next season after this one. That was in the FAQ today. But Brendan is at least involved. He's an executive producer. Like, Brendan's brain is a mystery to me. Kevin Stiller posted a video today where he he did the trend where you're like, can you watch my boss? And set a phone in front of someone, and he said it in front of Brennan, and Brennan just immediately went into a full monologue, just no prep. Brennan's just ready to monologue. Which it was in the drag season. I don't remember who said it. It was like, do you write these down? And I was like, Brennan does not write monologues down. Those live in his brain.
Yeah, it's incredible. There's some stuff, I think it's on this season, that is some timed, not really monologues, but timed sort of things, and where he had to do something for 30 seconds that is sort of improvised, and it's do you want us to put a little counter? What can we do something to help you with that? He's like, no, I got it. And just he's like a superhuman in certain areas. It's astounding.
Yeah. Is there anything that you can say you're excited for people to see in this upcoming season? I lost my mind at the ring microphone coming down in the dome. That's really good.
Yeah. That was me laying that down. It was a really fun season. Like I feel like this has kind of been one of Carlos Luna's you know brainchilds, this idea of like a pro wrestling season for a long time, of just that similar to drag in certain ways, that like this whole other arena of these improvised sort of storytellers who understand character and beats and big drama, and they are also totally different than TTRPGs, and like let's try to like cross the streams and like see what happens, and so it's been something we talked about for a long time. And so that was really exciting to bring it to life. Really cool to work with WWE superstars who are just really talented people, really busy, like super hardworking, high integrity folks that just kind of came in and kicked butt, and made a lot of. It was really cool to make a little wrestling ring and to do like I love, I mean, this is kind of Greek, but I love Greco-Roman stuff in general. So it was fun to do a DM screen like that, but with like a neon sign. And we did a fun thing with the minis where, we initially were like, oh, what if we did action figures, because that would be really fun to, there's this tradition of wrestling action figures, but the scale was not quite right for like what we wanted to depict in the ring and stuff. And so we kind of compromised, but we made like about a little bigger than double size minis. So every mini is kind of like a little action figure, and there's something neat about that. They have a lot of detail. I think they did a really good job on the mini shoot. I don't know. It's gonna be exciting. The projections are killer. We worked with this great artist named Tyler Lockett, who is fantastic illustrator. He did some really awesome illustrations. I don't know. It's a good season. It's a really solid season.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see it. Is a double-sized minis just mean you're 3D printing like a ton of things? Where are you finding those?
So we had to basically 3D print everything. There's like a crowd for part of it where those are like just like giants and elementals and things that are already kind of in that size. But generally we did a lot of 3D printing. But there's not a lot of wrestler minis out there. And so we worked with Margaret Doss, who's a 3D sculptor we worked with in the past. And she did a bunch of like most of the sculpts. And we did little kit bashing and different things to kind of get to the finish line. But it was a lot of 3D printing and a lot of custom miniatures.
Super cool. I'm so excited for it. Yeah, it was. I mean, I also saw the Chelsea Green post. Like, I knew it was coming, but it was still really exciting. I will also say, look, integrity on my side. I didn't talk about that post anywhere on the internet.
You know what's funny? When that happened, I was like, oh man, and then I was like, I think it was on Reddit, right?
It was on Reddit, yes.
Yeah. And so we were like, oh, oopsie, and we were just talking about it. I was like, it's so funny. I feel like sometimes Dropout fans are like have such high integrity that they're like, I'm going to pretend like I didn't see that because they don't want me to see that. And I'm like, it's just, it is what it is. And I appreciate it in a certain very sweet kind of way,
I never, like, I got I had some comments about it that were like, do we think it's going to be like Titan Takedown, or like, have you seen it? And like, I didn't reply to them, but whatever. But like, I never saw anyone, at least on TikTok, and I get most Dropout content on TikTok. I didn't see anyone making videos about it. And I don't know anyone else who did either, which is pretty wild. But yeah, it was a very funny, like, I'm sure for Chelsea had to be like like, what are the odds someone's gonna like know or care? And oh boy, as soon as somebody that was both a WWE fan and a Dimension 20 fan saw it, it was off to the races of just like but yeah. We also, like, I mean, you were just coming off of, according to Jess Ross, this is going to be the second drag season in a row because wrestling is drag. But we're coming off the actual drag season. It was her whole Smarty Pants presentation. It was very good.
Cool.
We're coming off the drag season, Dungeons and Drag Queens 2. Was it the dragon track map the most complicated thing that you guys have built to date? Like, it felt very complicated.
It was really complicated. It's definitely not the most complicated thing, considering all the stuff that we have built that has not come out yet this fall, but it is in that realm. It's one of those things where, the idea, Brennan is talking about, like, what is it, a Rube Goldberg type of machine, and a ball track, and there's like this dragon and all this stuff. And so trying to figure out how to have that be in a map in a way that is functional, right? Which is actually quite tricky with gravity. It's like hard to, there's certain things you can't really fake. And there's a lot of stuff we fake. Most of the stuff is fake, but certain things have to work. And then so to have it to be where it was like continually active throughout the course and had a mechanical connection and had a in-world explanation, that sort of like tied in and all this sort of stuff. So that was a really challenging and fun thing to figure out. And then fabricating it was a big challenge. That was, I think, Jesse Aaron and Aaron Key, and then I think Kelsey Hunter and Amber Paget got in on that at the end too. But there's just a lot of sanding and testing balls and sanding a little more and adjusting things, to get it to them to all roll well. And then the dragon itself was, I sort of did most of that. We worked with a 3D printer out of Germany. I can't remember. I mean, a 3D sculptor. I can't remember her name, but she did the actual dragon head sculpt, and then just figuring out little servo motors, a little elevator, and Greg Pinsino did some of the painting on it and some of the fabrication. And then actually Kevin Stiller did the animatronic programming, because I had it all to where it went to DMX, which is to say you could control it with a lighting board, all the lights and everything in the fog and in the mouth and all that stuff. And so he was like, oh yeah, I could do this. And then I think he kind of got into it, and he was like, he ended up coming in and working like a whole Saturday because it was actually way more complex just to do like a 30-second kind of thing, but it looked great. He killed it, and it was a fun one. That was like, I love a battle like that. It's like, not only is it so gratifying it's a joy to make and all that, and it's so joyous to see the players and Brennan, everybody so ooh and on, but just be so inspired by it. Like, you can feel the like joy, coming off of them to play with this thing. And then, afterwards, every once in a while we'll get from Brennan, I'll check in with him, and he's like, that was an all-timer, man. That was a good one. It's like, you get that, you're like, yeah, we did it,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's so fun. Yeah, I will say, when I first, so I fell behind because Drag Queens was coming out right around the time that like Madison Square Garden show was out, and like, it's like a bunch of stuff happened, and I fell behind on the season. So I started seeing the behind the scenes stuff that your crew was posting before I saw that battle episode, which is fine. Like, that's on me. Yeah. If I don't want to spoil it, I gotta be up to date, which is fine. But when I first saw like the dragon and things, I was like, did Rick cut a hole in the table for Brennan before he cut one for Abria? She's gonna be so mad about it because it looked like because I thought the dragon was gonna fully like I didn't realize there was a block of ice. Like, I thought like, oh, this dragon is emerging from this, and there's a hole in that table.
Yeah, there's definitely a few holes in the table now, so. But not one for a dragon to come out of, unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah. That was such a fun battle. Obviously, the Kraken, so fun. I have to know, are the tentacles back on? Were they able to be reattached?
I think that, I don't remember what they did for the mini shoot. It is possible to reattach it. So that whole thing that's kind of like Kelsey Hunter's baby. Like, she sort of it was our shop lead. She sort of like took that on because she had a lot of experience working with silicone, and so she like sculpted those tentacles and then made a mold, cast the tentacles in silicone with like an armature inside, so they can move, and then like she was out there like spraying tinted silicone, like painting it and stuff. This really big, and then so she made all these individual tentacles and made this body and sort of like had to bind it all together to work. And the cutting of them off, there's times where the part of the job is like figuring out the minutia of like what's going to happen. It's like, clearly they're going to cut off some of these tentacles. Like that's just what's going to happen. That's what you do in these kind of situations. So then it's like, well, do you make them so they are pre-cut, or how do you do it? And we just were like, you know what, we'll just cut it off and then we'll figure out how to reattach it later. So that's what we did.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Like it was the only thing that was a bummer about it being the Queens is it felt like had it been like the Intrepid Heroes, they would have melted down at you coming in and cutting the tentacles off. The Queens were just like, this is fun. Like it felt like the folks who've been there a lot would have been like, what are you doing? Like there would have been a moment of like panic from them. But yeah, it was so fun to just like have Brendan be like, Rick, and like you come in with just like shears to like chop apart this Kraken. Such a fun element to that battle.
That was the thing where I was like, I knew we needed like these really good snips to be able to get it off, and so I was like, all right, Brendan, here's the snips if you have to cut it. And he was like, it's like, and I'm like, you want me to come in and do it? It's like, yeah, why don't you come in and do it?
But well, because Brendan was also wearing the longest nails he'd ever worn.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I, granted, had lost probably most of them by the time you came in to cut it for the first time, but obviously didn't know if that was going to be the case. Although I do hear that Sky Smith won a bet with Abria about how many nails Brennan would have by the end of the episode. Which shout out to Sky.
Shout out to Sky. We when we were cleaning up after the other season, then we went back to, we found a couple of nails around the place.
That's so funny. Yeah, speaking of Sky, are you bitter that they were stolen from your art team to go keep track of the lore? Is there a feud building in the D20 world?
I'm not bitter, but I am, I am proud of, that Sky, came from the art department. I mean, Sky's awesome. Sky, we were never going to be able to hold on to Sky for very long, but Sky is great. And it definitely was we had like, because there's a whole aspect of it that's like the minutia of character sheet and D&D rules and spell cards and keeping track of that. That's a huge lift on our part, because we have to make like spell cards and character sheet. We have to make physical things that all need to be up to date and blah blah. Anyway, so when we got Sky to help us with that inside the department, it was like, this is great. Sky is the best, who's ever done this. This is incredible. And then, the show has continued to grow, and everybody was like, oh, really need someone to help Brendan with like lore for the post side and like sort of bridge post and production. And like, what about Sky? I'm like, what about Sky? Sky works for us. And they're like, well, we need her. I was like, okay. But
that's very funny. I mean, well, speaking of folks that work for you, that's a transition, right? Lopez Island.
Yes.
Is there a bigger demand from folks now, like post the legendary Rick Perry, like post the documentary? Are people like, I got to get to Lopez Island to work on this, or is it still just like your core folks, your Jessies and Ravens up there, really living out in the wild?
Yeah, well, it's been mostly the core folks. We Jesse was here today working on stuff, and we worked a lot in LA in the last couple of years since that doc. Weirdly, kind of we sort of started building up here on Mice and Murder. It was just me and Shane, in like a COVID bubble for months and months. And that was partly because of COVID, right? It was like we could build remotely and we can ship stuff down there. And then we built a few seasons here, and I live here, so I try to do all my design and develop stuff here if I can remotely and be close to my family and stuff. But in the last couple of seasons have just happened so fast that I only have so much capacity up here. And there's a point at which it's like, well, if I need 14 people working, and I need a bigger shop, and I need to be where the 14 people are, which is LA. So anyway, we try to work up everyone we can. I have people reach out to me all the time, a couple times a month or whatever, at least, just less trying to like come up here and work, and more just young people who are in college, or just out of college, and who are interested in working in the industry and working in the art department, or have a theater background and just want to know more. So I really enjoy talking to those folks and trying to give them advice or whatever I can to steer them, a little bit or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. What is some of your advice for the aspiring artists out there?
You're screwed. No. I mean, a lot of it is specific to the film business. I worked in TV film for like over 20 years, I think now. I worked in Austin for a few years, and Dallas and New York and LA. And it's a tricky business to break into. It's sort of an invisible business. It's sort of like there's not really jobs posted anywhere. It's all kind of word of mouth or referral. And so you kind of like can't get hired until you've already been hired, type of thing. And so there's this kind of barrier that you have to sort of bust through to get in. And so a lot of it is just around like advice around that. And, talking about creative stuff, for me, people who are young people who are in the beginning of their creative development, or in the process of kind of growing as artists and stuff, I usually, try to suggest people to find other folks who are making work that inspires them, like peers in their classes or their community or whatever, and try to develop a friendship and a especially when you're kind of young and maybe have time, to where you can just sort of create a little micro culture where you're trying to impress each other, and sort of focus on creating work as a way to have a dialogue, and to just sort of like create a little magic, it's for me, it was a great way to grow. And so that's the thing I try to share with other people. But I don't know, just try to answer whatever their questions are.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's beautiful. Yeah, obviously, like one of the first projects you worked on is Price Master. Truly one of my favorite parts of the documentary. Just like, what a bonkers idea that was. Of just what was it? You ended up selling, the only thing you sold a day was like a $5 bill for $2
like
or something.
A dollar bill that we sold for like 67 cents or something like that.
So funny. Just so obnoxious to be like, have people come up and be like, that's $10,000. And they'd be like, what's your problem?
Yeah.
It's just incredibly funny.
Thanks, man. That was when I was in undergrad, before I was working in the industry, and was studying art in North Texas. And speaking of a kind of cell of radioactive creativity, that was a group of people that I was doing a bunch of different performance art and sort of things like that with. Back then it was very subversive and irreverent. That was sort of the mode we were working in back then. But
yeah, so good. I look, I don't have any way to transition out of Price Master. I mean, how could you possibly? Have you ever given any thought to like some folks, but really interested in like a full behind the scenes, like how it's made, like professionally shot, like let's say the Kraken, of like from concept all the way through to like snips, any ideas, any thoughts of that, like in
I think that would be
verse?
awesome. I think it would be awesome. It's come up. The ideas come up a few times. I know from having worked on reality shows kind of early in my career that as a crew person, that that type of stuff tends to like double the workload or the time, because you have to like be like, hey, we're gonna like sand the thing, and they're like, oh, they're sanding the thing. Okay, just a minute, let's get so it's like this whole slow motion thing. But I think it'll be really cool. I love that. I mean, going back to what you were saying before, it's so cool that Dropout puts this spotlight, and Dimension 20 and the cast put this spotlight on the crew folks. And I think, well, I mean, obviously, I think what we do is neat and fun, and I think our team would be super down for it. I think it probably will happen at some point. It's just probably about finding the right moment,
Yeah.
But I think that'd be
you
cool.
don't have like a week turnaround time, you can actually like dedicate some time
Yeah,
to like
yeah, yeah,
filming.
yeah.
Yeah, all right. So, look, I know you're not going to answer. The sock in Miss Mag 2 is how did you do it, Rick?
I'm happy to answer that question, actually. The so It's a little similar to what we did for A Court of Fey and Flowers, which is to say, and similar to what we did for Never Stop Blowing Up. It's like a very genre specific thing, and we want to have hand props, and we're working with genius improvisers. So it's really about, on my side, it's really about just working the genre enough and coming up with props that will work well, that are good toys at the table, and that are not too specific and not too open-ended and sort of specific. It's like this fun little puzzle to identify these objects, and that are kind of different enough from themselves, and they are quirky and funny and all this stuff. And then you just make a box of toys, basically. And I'm like, here's all the things here's all the trinkets, Abria, like what do you want to give to someone? What is this little woven basket shaped heart mean, and then Abria or Brennan or whoever will apply their genius and just be like, this is this. And then suddenly it has this, it's like a meeting. It's like where our stuff and their stuff suddenly combine in an instantaneous moment, and it comes alive. Is really rad to see, because we have our own idea of what all this stuff is when we make it, and then we don't know what they're going to do, or even what they're going to touch, or what's going to even make it into the show. So for that, we had a bunch of like a list of I think 20 or 30 objects that were in the orrery, like as if, for me, I was thinking like, well, the orrery's got like a glove box or whatever, you know what I mean? Like there's like stuff that's there from other wizards. And so they all knew what that stuff was. And so they were basically picking stuff off of the list, but they could stretch it and bend it how they wanted. Some things they made up that weren't on the list. So it wasn't, it doesn't ever fully work exactly how we planned, but that was the sock. We had a sock back there. I knew he wanted the sock. I was holding the sock in my hand for about 10 minutes before I brought it out. So the sock was warm, but it was not off of anybody's foot, because that would be not good.
Yeah, not great, but yeah, it's very funny. I know I messaged you after, because I was like, how? It was like watching, I don't know how much time you have to watch other Dropout parties. So like there's a VIP episode where it's John Early and Caperland, and they like make reference to the fact that they sell soup. And in a couple of minutes in show, someone walks in with a briefcase that has 3, like, I think, hearty, chunky soups where they have taped over the labels so that you can use them on television, and like have handed them to them. And I was like, but how did you get those that fast? And that is what the sock felt like. And I was just like, I have to know. Anyway, I messaged you on Instagram, and you wrote back magic. So
yeah, I mean, we try to get ahead. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain amount that we can actually do stuff that is, but then there's going to be a certain amount that is still like, oh yeah, we need to go get this. Like I think there, for Miss Mag 2, there was a like a makeup compact that
Erica used.
Erica, came up with it, and I was like, I don't have that, and luckily we had a little time, but I had to go make that, real quick, so it happened. Anyways.
That's very fun. We're coming up on time here. I'm curious, is there a non D20 creative project that like keeps your juices flowing? Is there anything you have time to work on that isn't everything that is behind you.
um, yeah, I live on this homestead up here, so there's always plenty more stuff that I can do up here between, mowing the fields and the garden and whatever. But we're actually, I just had a meeting with my friend Nova and a friend in Denton, and we're going to try to, in this next year, get a thing going to get a Price Master statue put up in Denton, like a big bronze statue, like on a pedestal that, occasionally will be like, "Make that offer," so, and I do drawings and paintings and other stuff, so whatever.
That's delightful. Well, now I'm going to have to, I don't live that far from Denton, in this
you'll
grand
have to go
scheme
take a
of things.
selfie at some point.
I'll take a selfie in front of the Price Master bronze statue. Oh, that's so good. Anything else? Also, like anything that you're seeing out there that is inspiring you creatively?
I don't know. We've been watching Severance. Obviously, that's a really incredible show. My wife and I have been watching that. What else? What's been?
I was
finally
talking.
Started. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I was doing a live thing today, and Sky was there. We were talking obviously before like the trailer started, and we were like, it would be great. Like we would like to be severed so that we could just like not have to experience most of the world right now. Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh yeah, that's so true. That occurred to me as well. Like it's just sometimes you just want to be able to like turn it off, but you can't, and I guess we shouldn't either. But
right, yeah. We especially, but you and I, we're two of the people that definitely can't and shouldn't.
But that show is incredible. I finally started playing Baldur's Gate 3 a little late, but it's really good. It's so good. I mean, I know that everybody said that it's good, but like still, it's like it's good, so.
Yeah. That's very fun. All right, final question, and then I will let you go. Is there anything you wish a DM would ask for that they have not asked for yet?
That's a really good question. I really want to do a season that is that's more abstract and weird, where like instead of miniatures and props, it's like almost like hard sci-fi, but like absurdist, where like the props, the like miniatures are like a pyramid, and like a puddle of ooze, like what does this mean? And it's like, has this kind of like a Ray Bradbury, almost like a weird alien texture. I love stuff like that. I think that would be a really fun and that would be really funny to make fun of. But I don't know. I mean, pretty much every time Abria comes around, the doors get blown off. So I just wait for the next time.
Yeah, she comes around and is like, cut a hole in the table, and I would like a hologram, please, and thank you.
Listen, I saw her in New York, and she was like, Rick Pyro, next time.
Yeah, Pyro in the dome, no problem.
Yeah. I was like, I'll get right on that.
Yeah, like I feel like Smoke was maybe pushing the element or the boundaries of what you can do in terms of like physical effects in the dome, which is very fun. But like,
we need a bigger studio. Before you can do that.
Yeah. Oh, Rick, this is absolutely delightful as always. Thank you so
my
much.
Pleasure.
Look, there's no way that people don't know, but if people want to follow you on Instagram where you post incredible things as well as very like important political things that everyone should be paying attention to, where can they find you?
Yes, come see my rabid political post at Richard H. Perry on Instagram, and I'm on Blue Sky also. I think I'm like Rick Perry Dash or something on that one, but it's a little different. But you could find, I'm sure you can find me. So.
Yeah, just don't follow the former governor. That's the key.
Yeah.
Amazing. Rick, thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
I still don't know how to end an interview, so I'm just going to hit stop recording.